Welcome to another episode of Silence is Golden. I'm Simon Kelly.
And I'm Troy Dean. Coming up on today's show, we are talking about State of the Word live from WordCamp US in Nashville. We're talking about the evolution of the WordPress interface from 2003 through to 2009. Interesting date segment there. And also we're talking about Gutenberg, which is of course the new page and theme builder within WordPress that was talked about a lot at WordCamp US. And we're talking about every plugin you should be using on a client website, and Simon is actually giving away his list and blueprint of plugins to use on client sites. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us. Simon, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Good morning, Troy. How are you?
I'm very well. Let's get stuck straight into this. Let's talk about WordCamp US, live streaming and the state of the word.
Sounds good. So Nashville WordCamp was on over the weekend. Definitely jealous that I didn't make it. But
Major
it was
FOMO.
Yeah, absolutely. So just tried to turn off some of the social media for a while, so I didn't have to just see everyone enjoying themselves too much. But it was great. Like, it was great. The live streaming was available for anyone to join in. I didn't catch many of the sessions, but what is interesting was the State of the Word by Matt Mullenweg, WordPress founder, co-founder. So I wanted to dive a little bit into what Matt talked about.
Sure. You want to start?
Yeah, well, one of the key things, and we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, is Gutenberg, of course, which is all over the news at the moment. Well, the WordPress news anyway, not so much the mainstream news.
It's on CNN and CNBC.
They're not really picking it up.
No, not really.
They're a bit behind the times.
Interesting statistic from last year's State of the Word is that 1 in 3 Americans, they did some Vox Pop surveys on the street, 1 in 3 Americans has heard of WordPress.
Wow.
I wonder if that's changed in the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen any new stats on that one, but I would imagine that it would be increasing, actually. I think it's becoming more and more mainstream as a tool to use to build websites.
And that was not mentioned this year at all.
Not that I've seen.
I've managed to derail you.
Yeah. Well done. How many times can Troy distract me with what I'm talking about, with whatever he wants to talk about this episode?
What's going on over there?
Yeah. Get off the internet, Troy. Okay, so yeah, it was a big focus on Gutenberg and the future and what that's going to mean for the WordPress ecosystem. I'm really interested to see how things are going to change, how it will affect people that build websites is really the key focus. Like WordPress as a tool to help people that have businesses to communicate their message is obviously really important, but without having the consultants to be able to bridge that gap between the technology and the messaging, so marketers, developers, designers, all working together to help to bridge that gap. I think they're really the key audience that the Gutenberg needs to appeal to, and I really don't think that it's particularly that useful for them, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's controversial. Look, this conversation happens all the time, especially in our Facebook group. People are, concerned about things like the grid and, artificial intelligence taking over the job of a web designer. And Gutenberg, I think, kind of plays in this similar space, as does the other page builders. But I think Gutenberg is potentially beneficial for developers and consultants to develop pages quicker, but I don't think it's going to threaten things like Beaver Builder or Elementor or Thrive or any of those page builders, because they're so feature heavy. For example, if you wanted to spin up a landing page with a sign-up form and plug that directly into something like Infusionsoft, the quickest way to do that without using multiple plugins is to use something like Thrive Architect and Thrive Leads, which integrates natively into Infusionsoft. If you did that with Beaver Builder, for example, you need a third-party plugin to actually get the email data into Infusionsoft. If you did it with Gutenberg, you then need a third-party plugin to get that data into Infusionsoft. So the fact that Beaver Builder, along with the Ultimate Add-on Pack and the Power Pack, Elementor, along with their add-ons, and Thrive with all of their add-ons, there's such a feature-rich application, really, that I think Gutenberg is years away from being able to catch up to that. And I don't think it's going to threaten that at all. And the other thing I'll talk about is that it doesn't matter how easy it is to build a page, whether it's using Gutenberg or a page builder or using artificial intelligence or using something like Wix or Weebly. It doesn't matter how easy it is to build a page. The question you've got to answer is you've still got to know what to put on that page to get your target audience to take the action you want them to take. And that's where I think consultants are helpful, people like you and I who actually help and all our members who actually help our clients solve that problem and answer those questions. I think that's the value we add, not actually building a page in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, because you can build a poorly written page in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Or you can build a fantastic page in 10
I've
minutes.
been known to do that several times. Here's one I prepared earlier.
Yeah, that's definitely coming from a marketing standpoint. I'm definitely interested from like a development standpoint as well, which is I think is where like the WordPress community is really wanting to talk more about Gutenberg and where that comes from. So I'm interested to know how it will help developers or hinder them. Some of the comments that I've seen is about people find the most value in just using the text, like in terms of developers, using the text editor within WordPress, because that's where they can get code done. That's where they can get the things done that they need. And then you've got people who use something like advanced custom fields where they're not even using the editor at all.
So is it a common practice for developers to just put HTML into the text editor?
Unfortunately, it's common, but it's not good. It's common, but not good, for sure. So using something like advanced custom fields, I think gives developers the capability to create their own like bespoke page builder that they can adapt to suit the project, as opposed to here's a page builder that probably maybe kind of works in multiple scenarios. It's like, here's one that works exactly for this page, fill this in here. It's content detached from presentation, which in terms of managing clients is just a beautiful way to do it.
Correct. Unless you've got a very sophisticated client and they've got a very well-developed style guide and they've got some skills in-house that can use a page builder and can stay within the confines of your style guide. But you're absolutely right. The reason advanced custom fields is so good is because you've got granular control over the design and you can literally allow the client to change fields or change text or change the color of a button without actually touching the design on the front end of the page. This is the thing that makes me nervous about giving clients access to a page builder is Lord knows what they're going to throw up on the screen unless they are a sophisticated client and they have a very, very well developed style guide and they've been trained how to follow that style guide.
That's right, exactly. And it means that training that us as WordPress consultants need to do for our clients can be less as well, because you can actually build that into the fields. You can say, title here, and then you can't change it purple and move it to the bottom all of a sudden. You just insert the title, and that's all you can do.
There's a plugin you can use to train your clients how to use WordPress.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We'll talk about that later, because we are going to talk about the plugins that you should use on every client project. Let's talk about the evolution. It's a nice segue here into the evolution of the WordPress interface, 2003 to 2009. They're interesting dates.
It says that in the title, but it goes further than that.
Right.
Yeah.
This is over at wpbeginner.com. A big shout out to Syed and all our friends at WP Beginner. Is your internet working here?
It is.
They still haven't given us high-speed internet in the prison cell here, so I'm still struggling a bit. Here we go.
Yeah.
2003 to
they've updated
we'll
have
right.
good.
The URL for this link. The URL for this link here is Evolution of WordPress User Interface 2003 to 2009, but they've done a little bit of an SEO, I'm going to call it a grey hat SEO technique here. They've updated the article. It's now 2003 to 2017, but they haven't changed the URL because they want to keep their link juice.
Yeah, well, I would just remove the numbers from the URL, and then there's your evergreen piece of content.
There you go, Syed. Hey, hint from Simon Kelly. Anyway, you want to talk a little?
So I've got it up on my screen, Ray. If you wanted to jump on, if that's going to work.
Isn't that fantastic? Look at that, 2003. That's long before my time.
Bookmarks. Cool. So wow. I wasn't around when this was happening. I think I was physically around, but not in the website building space.
I wasn't.
So 1.5 Strayhorn. There you go.
Strayhorn.
Yeah. They looks like they dabbled with a bit of blue there in 2.0 with Duke 2005. This release also included the full WYSIWYG editor. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fast forward just a little bit because they're looking pretty similar.
I discovered it around Dexter 2.3, I reckon, is when I started. No, it would have been earlier than that, actually. It would have been Ella 2.1, around about 2.1. That's when I started playing.
07.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that pre-media library days. Look at that file upload.
I think that's when I built my first website in 2007.
It's a thing of beauty, isn't it? So when we built the video user manuals plugin, which we'll talk about in a moment, it was around late 2007, early 2008. And so it was definitely the blue interface.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
Cool. There you go. Just scrolling through. Very exciting. So we're getting up to 3.0. This is when custom post types, I think, was introduce custom post types in 3.0. This is about when I started paying attention to WordPress. I was using Joomla back at this point, which I actually thought was absolutely amazing, because before that I was just hand coding websites, and trying to make my own CMS, as we've talked about in the past, thinking that was the best idea ever, which it was not, because it turns out teams of people were making much better CMSs at the time. 3.5, features and screenshots. It's interesting, if you were to map out the amount of like core features that were built into WordPress and like the impact they've had, I'd love to see what kind of like velocity WordPress is on. It seems like the iPhone is slowing down. You know, they had a massive pickup, like when the iPhone was released, it's like, oh my God, that's revolutionary. And now it's like, pay with your face. Like, I don't really want to pay with my face. They're kind of, their features are kind of tapering off at the moment. They've kind of hit a plateau. Be interesting to see like how WordPress's trajectory is going.
Pay with your face.
Have you seen the ads?
No, I haven't. No. I just ordered a new iPhone X.
Well, you can pay with your face.
You pay with your face. That's gold, isn't it?
Finally.
I just ordered an iPhone X because, frankly, I updated to iOS 11 on an iPhone 6, and it runs like a pile of shit, basically. So I had to update the hardware because the hardware is no longer supporting the software.
That's how they get you.
Takes me half an hour to text my wife. All right, so very good. Anything else here we want to talk about? Do you think things like, I mean, they're building in Gutenberg. I'm surprised that something like advanced custom fields hasn't just been built into core.
Absolutely.
I'm very surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Considering there are custom fields in WordPress, but they're just not, I use advanced custom fields over the built-in meta fields in WordPress. Yeah. So the question that you're basically saying is why haven't they bought Elliot Condon's
Here we go.
plugin?
Matt Mullenweg, can you answer the question? Why isn't ACF part of core?
I think it is the most popular plugin in the repo, isn't it? I've definitely...
Well, besides Jetpack, of course, which, you know,
right. Well, that's all you need. That's the only plugin you need.
Jetpack,
One of the one of our members, Sean, said I wrote a Facebook post asking for some feedback on the core plugins that people use, which we'll dive into in a sec. And Sean Nicole said Jetpack.
Jetpack.
That is all.
Right. Yeah.
That's all we need.
All right, we should dive into the plugins. The internet is giving us a bit of a hard time here in the dungeon, but we should dive into the list of plugins. Oh, actually, before we get to the list of plugins you should use on every client site, do we have any questions from the community?
Well, I'd love to, but Facebook's not loading, so there you go.
Okay, Facebook's not loading.
Yep, just get a blank page. So.
Oh, really?
Sorry, Q&A. On Facebook?
Is Facebook down?
No, it's probably us. I would
probably
say it's probably us.
It's probably the internet.
Yeah, wow. Are you getting anything? Sorry, while we try to figure this out.
Not yet. This is Australia. Okay. Welcome to the Australian broadband network. I'm just switching routers here. I'm just switching networks. I'm going to the good old tether from the phone trick.
No, just go to Facebook.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. I've got Facebook up.
Yeah. All right.
Here we go.
Bring that up, and I'll just dive into some that I use.
Yep.
All right. So last week I had a bit of a look at a prototype install that I put together, which is like a black and white version of a website that I usually start my clients off with to just explain how different pages will link together and what elements will be on each page, so we can get a better understanding of how it all works in the browser. So I want to just take that a step further today and show you the blueprint that I use. One of the blueprints that I use. So this is quite a basic WordPress install. I've just got this installed on Flywheel Local at the moment. I use WP Engine's transferable installs when I want to actually present this to my client. And what I do is I have my plugins that I like to use in this install. I have some of the pages and some of the setup that I like to use as well. So here we can see we've got a subscribe button. That links to Bloom. That has a little pop-up. I would probably avoid using color and animations at this point, but I think that looks great and I couldn't help myself, so that's fine. So I've got pages, I've got landing page, so an ebook landing page here. So when I create a project in the future, I could just have myself or my team, we can just copy this nice and easy, because we're probably going to use something similar. This is connected again to Bloom, so it's already ready to go to some extent. So I don't have to build something to communicate to the client. I could just say, well, here's something I prepared earlier. We're going to adapt this with your content.
Bloom is the lead opt-in plugin from Elegant Themes, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. So there are many, and there's so many options. I think that's where a lot of WordPress consultants and people that build websites get stuck, is that there's so many options, and we're always looking at what everyone else is using, so we can be a bit self-conscious about what we're using and just change and use something else and just spend all our days doing that instead of getting some stuff done. At some point, you do have to commit and just say, I'm going to use Bloom for my opt-ins, and then just double down on that.
And become a specialist at using Bloom for opt-ins.
Right. Yeah.
And ignore everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to get into is everything else. So I just want to kind of pre-frame the plugin talk with a couple of things. One, don't install every single plugin just because you can. Ideally, have a local install where you can test some of these plugins, think about what need this is going to help you achieve, test it, and see if that works, and see if that makes sense. If you've got someone that you like to develop sites with, have a chat to them about, does this make sense for us? What are the options we've got here? And then kind of pick one from each category. If you've got an opt-in, don't use like Optinmonster plus Pop-Up Maker plus Bloom plus SumoMe, whatever, because you want to A/B test them. Just pick one, go with it. It'll be fine.
That's what I've been doing wrong. Darn.
Not enough plugins. I need to test them
What was
all.
that one? Pop-Up Maker.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of that one.
Haven't you? Don't worry about it. Don't look. Don't look.
It plays nice with Elementor.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, don't get overwhelmed with all the options that are out there, because there are a ridiculous amount, and that's why WordPress is so awesome. Try to just keep it nice and lean. Another thing is having too many plugins can really slow down your site.
Yeah, so Louise actually mentioned this. Can you talk about potential overuse of plugins? I see this happen all the time. It makes me cringe and think I could probably solve this problem with some CSS or advanced custom fields. Also, it's worthwhile talking about the fact that sometimes plugins change authors. Came across a plugin recently that has just stopped development because the plugin author took a full-time job. It's called Taylor. It's a page builder. No longer in development, just dead now, gone. See ya. Too bad if you were relying on that for clients.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and recently, well, in the past couple of months, a plugin that changed author, I can't remember which one it was then hacked, and they were pushing malicious code through.
Yes, that's right. I did read about that.
So it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it's just things to be careful of. You're basically unlocking the door for third-party code to enter.
Yeah.
And
there are definite risks in using too many plugins. Yep.
All right, so yeah, don't install too many. But there's also the myth that having too many plugins will have a negative impact, and that's the only thing. So you could have 1,000 plugins on your site, but if they're all well-written plugins and they're written by well-respected developers, then it's not going to have that kind of impact on your site. Sometimes the size of a plugin varies. Like a plugin could just be one line of code and that's it. Or it could be 10,000 different pages and they all link together and they're all relying on running some sort of cron every minute, and then it would just cause havoc on your website. So make sure you are paying attention to the reviews in the WordPress repo. Use plugins that are by well-respected developers. And do your testing. And
pay for support or pay for the premium version of the plugin, because two reasons. One, if you're a paying customer of a plugin, you'll probably get better support. And two, if you are financially contributing to a plugin, you're helping that business actually stay in business and increase their development cycle to make sure the plugin gets updated on a more regular basis.
Yeah, cool.
So don't be a tight ass, pay for plugin support.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you want to run through, are we going to run through the key plugins that you use?
Yeah, we'll go through my key plugins.
Now we're going to give this away too as a giveaway, as a freebie, right?
Yeah, so we'll go through the key plugins, but we do have quite an extensive list in this. We've got a Google Doc that we've broken it down into a couple of different categories. So I've got page builders here. Now I've got a couple of different options, of course, with page builders. As I've mentioned before, my preference is Beaver Builder. So I also use the Power Pack. Elementor, I've heard fantastic things, but it's just one of those things that I'm probably not going to look at because I'm fine with Beaver Builder.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
Cool with me. SEO, Yoast Seo, absolutely fantastic. There are other options. I use the ACF add-on for Yoast Seo, so those custom fields are added into the
because
SEO
if you don't use the ACF add-on, and you put a bunch of content in the ACF, Yoast can't actually grade that from an SEO point of view and tell you whether or not it's good for your SEO. So you do need the ACF add-on if you use ACF. Yeah,
you don't get that green tick in the back end. Forms, I love using Gravity Forms. Again, there are other options. For performance, I like to use WP Rocket and Imagify, which are from the same team. And absolutely fantastic. Imagify, I find, works better than WP Smush, which is also a great plugin. I just find it works a little bit better, and I pay for the premium version. For development, I like to use show current template, which shows the current template
that you're working on. Yep.
Yeah, genius. There's also query monitor, which I haven't got listed here, but I think that's a great plugin for development. For local dev, I like to use Local by Flywheel, but MAMP and ServerPress are also excellent applications.
Anyone in the non-WordPress space watching this video probably thinks we're aliens talking another language right now.
Good. Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Now, setting up for clients, there's a bit of a stack that I like to use here. It's not all of these. I like to use Stream to pay attention to what they're doing and what my team are doing as well, so we can say, it was you. Minimize, I used to love and use that when I used to set my clients as editor only, but these days I'm actually setting them as admins and for various reasons.
Radical.
And so now I use the WordPress toolbar editor and Admin Editor Pro, which I'm just going to add into there. Admin Editor, way to spell pro. So that helps to just take away some of the admin menu items so that you can do it by user or by user role. Also like to use the Video User Manuals plugin to help with video training for clients. That's what we came to see.
That's right. My work here is done.
That's it.
This show is sponsored by Video User Manuals. For more information, no, I'm kidding.
So also, White Label CMS, built by another fantastic crew. So that helps to brand the login. It helps to remove some of the mentions of WordPress, not to white label it so it's the Simon Kelly CMS. It's just to stop the confusion with clients.
Correct.
We don't want them to ask questions like, what is this? If I click on this, why does that happen? What are all these buttons?
That's one of the biggest questions we get about Video User Manuals and White Label CMS is how do we completely remove WordPress from the equation, altogether? And the idea is not to hide that you're using WordPress, just to clean up any, as you said, any unnecessary questions like, what is the WordPress development blog in my dashboard? Why is that there?
Exactly, yeah. And news about local meetups. Like that, great, that's interesting, but want to be able to have the choice whether or not we show our clients that, because at the end we have to support that. So, backups. I like to use Manage WP and Updraft Plus is my stack. I used to use Backup Buddy all the time, but I just seem to be having some issues with the host that I use, so don't use them anymore. Duplicator, I've heard amazing things with that. I've used it a couple of times. I think it's awesome. For migration, it's a bit of a similar stack with the addition of all-in-one migration, which is really great. It works amazing. Manage multiple sites. I use Manage WP. Do you use them as well?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Yep. There you go. Long story, that one.
Yep.
Main WP, I've heard great things. iTheme Sync is also awesome. The marketing list we kind of covered before. Bloom is my go-to, and I really love Optinmonster as well.
Yep.
In terms of the free ones, I think SumoMe is great, but they have you're in their marketing funnel when you sign up, and then goodbye to your email.
And I don't
inbox.
love their interface. I got to say, I find their interface very clunky. I actually find Optinmonster's interface a bit clunky as well. I'm still looking for the ultimate opt-in solution for WordPress. I'm currently using Thrive Architect and Thrive Leads and liking that, but I think they're all a bit clunky, really.
There you go. Yeah. Looking for the ultimate all-in-one marketing toolkit.
Correct. I'm just fussy. That's right. I have high expectations.
All right, content management, advanced custom fields, love it. Duplicate post is great. It does what it says on the box, helps to duplicate things. This is great when you're building a prototype. You can just quickly go blog post 1, duplicate. Blog post 2 has the content in there. Awesome. Enable media replace was actually something I didn't hear until we asked the members. So what you can do is if you've got a PDF, so I work with a lot of venues and hotels and restaurants with menus. So what we do every time is that we actually upload a new menu and then redirect all of the URLs. Really annoying. I just thought we had to deal with that. Yeah. You don't have to do that. You could just have the one and then use enable media replace, upload the new version.
Gotcha.
There's the new version.
Cool.
You're doing well not to derail me.
You learn something new every day.
So far. CMS page tree is great as well for development. It puts the pages in a tree and you can just see them all together, add new pages nice and easily.
It does. My favorite for content management is Wicked Folders. It's a similar thing. It allows you to put all your pages in folders. Doesn't affect your URLs or your structure on the front end. It just makes it easy to organize things in the back end.
Yeah, I haven't really used that one. I had a look at some of the screenshots. It looks interesting way to like organize your different types of content in a different way that you would with the WordPress page hierarchy.
Yeah. I normally do it in like, funnels or landing pages, thank you pages, kind of organize everything in, so I just click on the one funnel and there are all my funnel pages for that funnel.
Right, okay. Instead of like LP slash and then putting it in there, thank you slash. Yeah. It's a good idea. And there's more. You know, we could go on for ages.
So we're going to give this away.
It's
at wpelevation.com/must-use plugins, all separated with hyphens. Must-use-plugins. They're the must-use plugins that we recommend or that we use and our members use on client sites. It's a bit of a laundry list. Don't use them all. Don't download all of the plugins and install them all on the same website. Otherwise, smoke will come out of the back of your computer and you will break the internet. But it just gives you an idea of some of the plugins that you can use that are mainly designed for use on client sites. As Simon said, oh, there we go. We weren't going to do Simon Says, were we? But
Don't
we just
start
did.
now.
Simon Says, pick your technology stack and stick with it. All right, awesome. What else is going on? I think, so there is one question. Warren Sutton said, I'd like to know how I can do a single install which includes my core plugins and preset it up as I like. And I think you've just answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to use Flywheel, a local by Flywheel. So you set that up and they've got things in there called blueprints. So you can easily just spin up a new version of WordPress locally and then just migrate that over to your hosting platform. So you can set up different versions. You could have one, I think we were talking about this last week, you could have a different blueprint install per industry. Like you could have I've got an e-commerce install, a membership install, an LMS install, and then a standard website install. It's a little bit much to maintain, but it's good to just be able to spin something up nice and fast and just reduces development time.
Awesome. Hey, we hope you're enjoying Silence is Golden as much as we are. We hope you like the new walls. We're doing some more work on the set tomorrow, so next week it'll look different. We hope we're sounding okay. We're both wearing black. I don't know if that means anything, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel at wpelevation.com/YouTube and like us on Facebook at wpelevation.com/Facebook and share this with anyone who you think might be interested in starting and growing their own WordPress freelance business, because that's what this show is all about. And obviously, as I mentioned before, go and download that list that Simon has put together at wpelevation.com/must-use plugins. All the links there will be in the description near this video. No idea what we're talking about next week, but it will be exciting nonetheless.
We should definitely have a chat about it.
We should definitely have a chat about it once we finish this, work out what we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us. Leave some comments under the video. Tell us what you want to learn next on Silence is Golden. My name is Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly.
Until we see you next week, go elevate.